What's going on, DVS players? Figs here with Universe Z. Wanted to bring you guys another deck profile. I played in a second store championship, so I wanted to go ahead and give you what I played, and it was the blue Bojack. Surprisingly, I had a ton of fun with this deck. Deck was absolutely insane in how it performed. I honestly didn't think it was going to perform as well as it did. In testing, things were a little bit awkward in how I had the build originally, and I made some changes that kind of fit how I wanted to play the deck, and I had a blast playing it. It was very fun. So I just wanted to share the list that I played. Everyone's got their version. I know obviously there's not a lot of cards from set 13 that allow you to be too wide on how you can play the deck, but I just wanted to, present to you what it was that I decided to use as far as ratios, SCRs, super combos and things like that that, allowed me to be able to perform with this deck very well. I ended up chewing all of my games. And like I said, it performed really well. It was able to play the early game, the mid game, and the late game as I needed to, depending on the matchup. My hands were generally large. I wasn't struggling too much, only on the front side. Once I got on the back side, seen, the most obvious cards, that allow the deck to draw. Once I seen those cards, I was able to perform as I needed to. But let's get into the deck. So leader, Bojack, for those who don't know, both sides, he reduces the energy cost of the mono blue Bojack battle cards in your hand by one. So they cost 0 to combo. I don't think any of them are two, but they're pretty much all free. On both sides, activate battle. Once per turn, you're able to combo with a mono blue Bojack Brigade card in your energy, from your energy, and then you ramp one from your top of your deck into your energy in rest mode. He awakens by having a 4 cost specified unison, and if you're at 3 life or less, he will untap 1, draw 2. The only difference on the backside for this is the auto. Once per turn, you can pay 1 blue, choose 1 card in your hand, discard it, and then you can activate any skills that are counter skills from your hand for the turn, and then you're able to untap 4 blue energy. So you basically pay 1, pitch 1, untap 4, can't use counters for the turn from your hand. Very, very strong effect, obviously, for being able to get your guys on the board. But so let's get into the deck. I, of course, played 4 of the Unison, the Boo Unison. This card is great, honestly. I mean, the minute this card comes down, he's a powerhouse. Has a double striker, so he applies pressure. He's 20k, so your opponent always has to commit cards in order to be able to get him off the board if they're swinging with leader or low to the ground battle cards. But his abilities are really great. I mean, he's a blocker. He's able to bounce back a battle card with his -1 on his auto during your opponent's turn. When a battle card swings, only a battle card, you're able to choose any battle card on your opponent's board and bottom deck it. So you do have more control. I mean, the deck already has a lot of control, but this gives you additional control over your opponent's board and being able to, get things off the board and clear them out. His +0 allows you to draw a card, and then at the start of your opponent's main phase, he untaps or switches to active mode, and you're able to untap 1 mono blue energy. So you're never generally tapped out in this deck. You always have access to energy for your leader's backside effect, so that you're able to be able to utilize your combo effects as well. So during your turn, you're able to make plays. During your opponent's turn, you're able to make plays. So at all times. But I went with 4. I didn't want to play less than that because honestly, there's a lot of times where some in certain matchups you want to be defensive early and you want to keep your life high. So this allows you to be able to do that. You're able to get on your backside. You're then able to start drawing cards. And again, this card can be as aggressive as you want it to be because it is a double striker. So I went with 4 of those. I went with the Hatch SCR. I don't agree with the Pycon SCR as being the option for this deck. I don't think the deck needs an additional finisher. It's nice to have him because it does work with the leader's effect for being able to untap 4. But Hatch just allows you to be able to get you those turns where you don't want to interact with your opponent and you're just ready to go into your next turn to be able to start playing. Or even then, if you want to, combo a bunch of cards, get yourself tapped out on your opponent's turn by getting all your guys on the board, and then they think because you're tapped out, you've used your effect that you're no longer going to be able to do anything. Um, you know, then you're able to use this as long as you didn't use this effect. And it came up. It came up several times. I generally save Hatch. When my opponent's tapped out, as I've always said, this is not a card that you play at the start of your opponent's turn. You allow them to make plays. You allow them to use your energy, and then you drop this bad boy so that way you have a 40k swinger on your turn, and your opponent can no longer do anything after they've committed their plays. But again, you can't use this effect and then use this. You have to be able to, just use your energy. If you've got 4 open or if you've got a couple energy open, use that energy. and then drop this bad boy. So you have a 40k swinger. Everyone should know what he does, so I don't want to go into that too much. But I'll go a little bit into these cards since these are for set 13, and everyone may not know what they do. So we've got for Zanya. This is basically your draw power. While she's in your energy or on the field, when you combo with her, you're able to draw a card. So this card works great for being able to apply pressure. I use this a lot for my one drops in the deck, which you'll see shortly, to allow me to be able to push down crit and double strike. Also, of course, on defense, you're able to get a free combo, off your leader, and then you're able to draw a card. So this allows you to be able to keep cards in your hand and continue to draw. I wish there was a way to recycle this from the drop, but unfortunately, there's not at the moment. But once we do have a more reliable way of being able to recycle this, then we'll have a little bit more consistency and being able to draw more often. But this card's great. Obviously, you have to play four. This is my more aggressive cards that I played that were one drops. I wanted to have the option, as I said, to have an early game as well as a late game, but also be able to have a lot of consistency. So I went with three Gokua. His effect is when he's played, you're able to look at the top five cards of your deck. You're able to grab a Boujack Brigade's battle card, energy cost of 3 or less, or you can grab a 4 cost unison. So his other effect is activate battle. When he swings or activate battle once per turn, you're able to pay one of any color, and he gets 11,000 power and critical for the turn until the start of your next main phase, actually. But for the turn, you basically get a crit attacker who's 15k. So combining this with this means that you basically what I was doing is you charge this, and then you go ahead and play him over that charged energy, uh, you know, draw a card or search a card, whatever, and then you're able to just swing, tap down another energy, combo this 20k crit, and it connected most of the time. Very strong, like I said, very good. Card, having crit and being able to push your opponent down early without you losing any resources is great. Essentially, you're just using energy to be able to pressure your opponent. This replaces itself. This gives you a draw, so it's nice, a nice way to be able to pressure your opponent. I also went with two of the Beto. He's the double striker, so when you play him, he draws a card, and then activate battle. You pay one, and he gets double strike in the 11k into the start of the next main phase. So this was double strike pressure. I wanted to be able to have that kind of pressure in case I wanted to attack unisons, attack my opponent's leader for cheap. You can play these and then let them sit on the board until you're ready to swing with them when needed. These are more ways of you being able to use your energy without having to like rely on cards that you may or may not want to actually play or use. And of course, they're Boujack Brigade, so it makes it a little bit easier. I also play three Gokua. This card was great. It allows you to be able to bounce one drops to the bottom of your opponent's deck. So you're able to deal with things like Black Mana Sand, any other silver bullets that don't have barrier. That's the one thing that this deck just unfortunately does not deal with anything with barrier. But fortunately, you don't really get hurt by the barrier stricken silver bullets that would normally affect blue because we play a very minimal amount of cards that are counter skills that allow you to untap blue or tap energy in general. But for anyone who doesn't know what this does, when it comboed from the hand or the energy, you're able to pay one, put it into play, and when it comes into play, you're able to bounce one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of one to the bottom of the deck. I went with three of this because, of course, it only hits one drops, but I did go with three instead of two because it is a 20k for one energy. So it's nice to be able to have access to that. That way, if you need a 20k pressure or a body or you need a bottom deck of one drop, you have access to it. I went with two, Bougie and the Evil Doer. This card's not bad. It somewhat underperformed, but I wanted it because I wanted to make sure that I didn't get blindsided by any tall decks. So he does have unique. He has blocker. He's the same as all the other ones. When he's comboed from the hand or the energy, at the end of the battle, you pay one. You're able to put him into play. When he comes into play, you're able to choose one of your opponent's battle cards. And if it has an energy cost that is higher than their current energy, they can't attack with it and they cannot combo with it. So basically allows you to be able to stop something tall and has blocker. So it's good against any deck that basically tries to go tall against you early. It allows you to shut them down from being able to attack with something, and then it also becomes a blocker. So not terrible, but again, it has less applications because of its auto skill. And it's more reliable against things that are tall. But we have other cards for other options for dealing with tall cards. So I mean, but this was nice. Again, it's a blocker, so you can't always go wrong with that. That stops everything. Then of course we have the negate. We wouldn't want to have too many counters. I like to have my decks be very interactive. This deck can be very interactive, especially if you don't stop attacks, because obviously you get more chances to combo. Um, but this is a one cost combo. If it's in your energy, or sorry, one cost counter attack, and it plays itself, If it's in your energy, you're actually able to use the counter from the energy by just pitching a card instead of. Um, I think it's instead of paying its energy cost. Let's see. You can activate this card's counter skill from your energy by paying its energy cost and choosing one card. Yeah, so you can play it from the energy. I never did. I usually just kept it in hand and played it as a one cost negate. But if it is in your energy, you're able to pitch a card, pay one energy, and do it from your or pitch a card, pay one energy, and play in from your energy. But I only went with two because, like I said, I didn't want to have a lot of counterattacks there. So we have four Bojack the Evil Doer. This card is obviously one of the most important cards in the deck. He's dual attack. Again, combo him, pay two energy. He comes into play. When he comes into play, he bottom decks something. Anything. Doesn't ignore barrier, but it hits anything, which is the most important thing because you're able to obviously deal with any battle card your opponent has on the board that does not have barrier. This card performed amazingly. Your opponent puts a Gohan on the board, you out combo the Gohan, you have this coming into play, the Gohan goes away. I'm referring to the 10 drop. Anything, pretty much anything that just doesn't have barrier, you're able to get rid of and deal with. So this card was great, and it's a 20k dual attacker, which means that you have a ton of pressure. I went with 3 Beto, the Evil Doer. This one's great as well. It has unique and crit. His auto says if your leader card is a Bojack card, at the end of the turn, of course, you pay one, or end of the battle, you pay one, comes into play. If you play him during your opponent's turn, you're actually able to untap one blue energy, switch it from rest mode to active mode. And then his activate main allows you to basically get rid of battle cards. You pay one, choose one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 3 or less, and bottom deck it. So this was nice to have because he is again crit pressure for one. And then of course if you do it during your opponent's turn, it gives you the energy to be able to play something else. So you pretty much, you resolve this first. Your guy's going depending on the combo. You play him first, he comes into play, he untaps the energy, the next one comes in, and if you have another one for one, you're able to play the next one. He does have unique, but even though he has unique, I still decided to play 3 because I always wanted to see this card. He allows you to basically be able to get rid of things as well, 3 or less, by paying one energy once per turn, which is really important because if you want spot removal and you want to be able to clear out guys, he does that without you having to sacrifice any cards out of your hand or having to combo or even enter the battle step. Activate main makes it very reliable. I played 3 of the winner Bojack, Rampaging Agent of Destruction. Of course, I said winner because, of course, we don't not play the winners. But he was great. He's another card to deal with tall guys. His effect says when this card is in rest mode, your opponent's battle cards with energy costs greater than their current energy cannot attack your leader. So they do have to attack this and/or battle cards. If he's KO'd, you draw a card, and then of course when he's comboed, you pay one. He comes into play in rest mode. So it's great. I mean, again, those turns that your opponent's going to put something big down. They go for the leader swing first to get their draw. You go ahead and you combo this, pay one. He comes into play in rest mode, and then they have to clear it. When they clear it, you get a draw. So it pretty much replaces itself. It's very good card. I don't think it's necessary to play as a 4 of, to be honest. It's a somewhat situational card. Most decks do try to go tall at some point, but it's not a card that you're going to want to see all the time because generally, if the tall cards don't have barrier, you're able to bounce them and get rid of them anyways. 4 of the best card in the deck, the 8-drop Bojack on a Rampage. This card has everything. So he is a double strike dual attacker. You're able to actually evolve him over a Bojack with an energy cost of 3 or 4 and draw 2 cards by paying 5 energy. And then of course you combo him, and at the end of the combo, you pay 4. He comes into play. Prior to coming into play, you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards, bounce it to the bottom of the deck, and draw a card. So he does replace himself, gets rid of a guy, comes in play in rest mode. And then the great thing about him being in rest mode is that if he is in rest mode once per turn, whenever your opponent swings with a battle card, you get to choose one of their energy, switch it to rest mode, and activate one of yours. So he does allow you to get a lot of control of your opponent's board once he hits the board. So you're able, a lot of times it's difficult because if you play him too early, your opponent tries to remove him. But generally, if you do play him early in your opponent's turn and they don't have a way to out him, it becomes very difficult for them to deal with because he is a 30k, so he's not easy to swing over. But the minute they attack with a battle card, you're going to take control of their energy and start tapping their energy down. So this card's great. I mean, it's got dual attack, double strike, and it's 30k, and it does not have unique, which is insane. So you can play as many copies of this as you want. I've gone in situations where I literally will leave 4 energy open, put one into play, excuse me, put one into play, and then I'll have another one, and I'll, use his effect by untapping energy with a super combo, or some other bean or something, and then or D magic, and then go from there. So there's definitely many ways for you to be able to play multiple of these in one turn during your opponent's turn, and then when your turn comes, you've got two dual attackers. So great card. Um, I went with two energetic Frenzy Kefla as my a Frenzy Kefla as non Bojack cards. These cards were great. I don't know how I feel about them moving forward. I felt like it was a great card because you have a lot of low to the ground combo dudes that come into play. I only honestly got to put this into play one game today. And when it did, it was just insane. Of course, it was against Baby. Of course, because that match will last forever. But it draws, for anyone who doesn't know, it gets its cost reduced by every blue battle card on the board. So you can play it for as cheap as three because it's three specified cost. And then once per turn, you draw two cards and untap two during the start of your opponent's turn. Two blue energy. So it was just a nice way of being able to have more draw, have another swinger, and then of course be able to untap more energy for your combos. But I believe that it was a good card also because it's a 10k for Galactic, for the Galactic Buster. That way you kind of have like a free 10k combo, but I don't know. I might reconsider something else in its spot. I'm not too sure, but it did play well either way, and I never had an issue having it. So four super combos. I went with two Zeno and I went with two of the Zanga Bojack combos. So the Zeno was necessary, of course, for being able to pick up things out of your energy, like your SCR or any other cards that weren't Bojack cards that you wanted to see. And then, of course, this combo is great because it's technically an 11k combo if you combo it with another card, which 9 times out of 10, you're always going to have something to combo because, we're looking to play dudes. So it's a four life combo, draw one, and get an additional 6k on the swing or on the combo. For Galactic Buster, of course, this card is amazing. During either player's turn, you can pretty much activate this, activate battle. You're able to draw a card, combo something, but only if it's your opponent's turn. You're able to put this into your energy and have an energy to use for your combos. So they did rule this, of course, that if you do it during your opponent's turn, you combo it, it goes in your energy. You're able to resolve one of your pending autos before you're able to tap down an energy for the end effect. So this card was great. Honestly, I couldn't imagine playing less than four. I mean, it performs like it should, and it's it definitely works as it should with everything else. Otherwise, three being 2D magic. I went with three being 2D magic because you don't need to untap a lot of energy. There's a couple cards that have dual attack, so it's nice to have that for. But you don't want to untap. You don't want to have to untap all the time. Generally, you have open energy because none of these cards get hard casted other than your unison. Otherwise, you don't need being that often. And D magic because we want to go to actually get to the combo step and be able to combo our guys in and have access to interactions. So we didn't play too many negates. Otherwise, that's the deck. Apologize if it's a bit lengthy. Just wanted to go over a few cards. But this is definitely pretty solid, honestly. I didn't have very many issues at all with any consistency problems. The only thing that sometimes can get a bit annoying is not seeing a unison, especially if your opponent's not very aggressive. But once you see the unison, of course, you get on the backside. I mean, the leader does the same thing on both sides, but obviously it's nice to be at 15 instead of 10. And then, of course, getting the untap one draw two is always nice as well. But yeah, I definitely enjoy the deck. Honestly, I can definitely say that I will continue to play this forward in this format. I definitely think that it's great. I don't think it's the best deck, but I definitely think that it performs well enough for you to be able to play it competitively. But that was my build. I wanted to share that with you guys. Of course, I don't share my side deck as usual because that's always preference, and everyone pretty much plays different cards for their own matchups and stuff. So I hope you guys appreciate the deck profile. If you have any questions, leave a comment. Definitely like, subscribe to our university channel. We're starting to push out content now that we've got tournaments coming up. We've been doing in-person tournaments. We've been doing tournaments on webcam, and of course, we've got regionals coming up and store championships coming up. So definitely continue to check out our videos, subscribe so you can keep track. But thank you guys. This was Figs here with Universe Z. So go ahead and like and subscribe.